The story begins with Liz's sister, Artemisia, scolding her for sleeping. She apologized and explained that she had just dozed off a bit. Artemisia asked if she had made the small magic tool she requested properly. Liz responded that she made it just as she instructed, but she messed up just a little. Just a tiny bit. However, Artemisia didn't accept any mistakes and slapped her on the face. She grabbed her hair and told her that if she didn't marry into a wealthy family, their family would be out on the streets and back to living in extreme poverty. Crying, Liz apologized and promised to do better next time. She looked at the magic tool and said it would do for now. She then told her to make sure to practice until it was perfect before she returned. This wasn't a dream for Liz. This cruel life was her reality. At the palace, first Prince Albert Camellia tried on the tool and loved it. He said if she became queen, their country could lead the world in magic tool technology. Artemisia acted humbly and said she was just the daughter of an ordinary magic tool shopkeeper. Prince Albert said she was still the eccentric granddaughter of a former royal too, even though she thought she just had the gift for making magic tools. He knew that her grandmother was a former princess. Artemisia felt spoiled that he investigated that much. Prince Albert offered his hand to her and said he wanted her to be his wife. As he touched her face and approached her, he said she didn't make this magic tool all by herself. Some parts show the magic mark of a different person. Since her shop was family-run, it made sense that parts were made by different members. He said he knew she was the main creator, but if he was going to convince his father of marriage, he wanted something entirely made by her. While hugging him, she asked what she should create next. In the next scene, Artemisia brought the new order from the prince and told Liz to make it look like it was 100% her work. That was impossible. But Liz had to say yes to her. Even though her grandmother was an expert magic tool artisan and taught her herself, forging magic tools was her specialty. But when it came to perfectly replicating magic crests, she had never succeeded. Magic marks appear when a person uses magic. They were unique to each person and formed distinct patterns. So perfectly matching your own and someone else's magic mark was nearly impossible. Her sister accepted 90% matches, barely satisfied with that. But Prince Albert was probably using a simple detector to analyze the percentage of residual magic marks on the tools. She accepted the job because she was scared of being beaten. When she looked at his order, she was shocked because it was a custom pommel from Prince Albert, with decorations that make it obvious at a glance that it belongs to him. A pommel was a part attached to the end of a sword hilt. Only the royal white falcon used in royal falconry could be engraved there. Only the prince could command it. The inlaid gemstone was red agate. Gold and red were the colors that symbolized the royal family, and on top of that, it needed a special magical function. This was a tough duty, and if she wanted to do it properly, it would take 3 months. But if she didn't finish it, Artemisia would beat her again. She had to make it no matter what and how. She wondered what she should do. She still had to prepare materials for the shop, too. She decided to finish spinning the magic thread. She used her multi-activity skill and acceleration 20 times to speed up. At this pace, the magic thread would be ready in 6 hours. She had to hurry and start dyeing. She wondered what color and how many meters she needed, how she should weave it, and what embroidery was while working. She was so focused that she didn't hear her mother calling her name. When her mother threw something at her, she apologized and said she was really focused. Her mother asked if the item she had asked for was ready. She showed her the tools. Her mother told her to bring it before she even has to ask next time. She reminded her that no matter how old she got, all she was good for was errands. She then noticed that there was another quest from the prince and ordered her to do it properly. Liz said this one was a little hard. Her mother told her that she cannot eat if all she does is complain. If it went well, she would live a life with nothing to worry about, so she had to do it like her life depended on it. Before she left, she told Liz that she was banned from eating anything but bread and water until she finished making it. When she left, Liz fell on the floor because she was so hungry. She had finished all the shop chores. Now she needed to think about the prince's request structure. She was good at designing accessories, but the problem was that while engraving, she needed to perfectly synchronize the magic wavelength with her sister's. She continued crying because perfectly copying a magic mark was impossible. The shape was perfect, but the pattern on the magic crest only matches up to about 95%. Too much time went into practice, and she hasn't made any progress on her other tasks either. She wished to be able to focus just on the prince's requests, but that was impossible because of her mother. No matter how many dresses or accessories she made, her earnings were always used up by her sister, so the family finances were constantly in trouble. For her sister to become a noblewoman worthy of the prince's eye, it seemed that a great deal of money was required. But if her sister rises in status, then she would be able to live a life without any hardships too. The thought of a calm life and unlimited bread every day gave her the courage and strength to continue working. She wasn't going to eat that black sour bran bread she always ate. She was going to eat white bread with butter spread on top. She decided to go through this and absolutely get to enjoy delicious meals. And with that, she finally did it. It was a perfect match. She was so happy that she was free now. She was on the verge of dying from hunger and sleepless nights. Artemisia came and asked if it was going to be fine this time. She said the magic patterns match exactly with hers this time. Liz then had to ask if she had any snacks. She told Liz that she was not eating any snacks. If her proportions fall out of shape, it would be a problem, and her skin would get bad too. This beauty was the result of her efforts. Then, shortly after that, the engagement between Prince Albert and the former princess's granddaughter, Artemisia, was publicly announced. She thought she could finally live a peaceful life, but her relief was short-lived. She was being overwhelmed again by her sister's crazy demands. After 3 days of no sleep, she still had to finish the family attire for the engagement ceremony before next week. There was no way she could do it because the crepe fabric, so many frills, and the lace for the new design required an estimated 5 meters with a flower embroidery. She wasn't even sure how many hands she would need to finish this in time. She needed to find a way to cut corners. Somehow, with speeding up and not sleeping or eating for days, she finished in time. She managed to finish it. At the very last minute today, she was able to prepare everything. She would never forget the feeling of accomplishment when she finished it all. Now she was sure she wouldn't be berated and she wouldn't be hungry either. She had been working non-stop without food or sleep. She was starving, so she decided to eat the food at the party. There was so much delicious food that she lost herself in the middle of it and ate so much. However, her chest started to feel foggy and uncomfortable. She fell to the ground before it hurt so much. It was probably because she hadn't eaten properly for days. She felt like she was going to throw up, but she had to hold it in, so she tried not to faint. She looked at her sister and made eye contact, but her sister didn't care about her. She said Liz didn't care much about her appearance and was joking around. It was embarrassing for her to be here acting like that. These humiliating words added to her shoulder and she started crying. A kind voice asked her if she was okay. She couldn't see anything anymore, so she didn't know who that was. When she woke up, her sister hit her to wake her up. She scolded her for throwing up in front of the queen and the king. She was so mad that she wanted to kill her right there and now. She tried to apologize, but this time an apology wasn't enough for her sister. The thing that saved her was the knight saying he brought some water for the young lady. Artemisia immediately changed her attitude and said she would send her home and it was fine. Before she left the room, Artemisia told Liz to hurry up and go back quickly. The butler didn't leave the room and said she looked like she was exhausted, but she needed to be examined properly and that was the king's order. Liz tried to say she would go back alone, but he didn't let her. She asked where she was and he said it was the palace. Unlike the royal palace where magic was prohibited, she could use healing magic here. After healing her, he said he was going to take her leave now. Liz thanked him before he left. A black-haired man appeared in the room. He was so beautiful that Liz was speechless. There was a strong magical energy coming from him. She was already sure that he was an amazing mage, but his glare scared her. He was so scared as he approached her. He touched her cheek and noticed her wounds. Liz thanked him. He approached her and grabbed her wrist. He noticed the magic burn on her wrist and asked what it was. Lying on the bed with an enormously beautiful man on top of her, grabbing her wrist, Liz was puzzled as to what the hell was going on. The man repeated his question. She was still confused, so he got off her and said she had a magic burn mark on her wrist. She cannot get this unless she has been touching a magical tool for a long time, like a sword or something similar. That was true. Her wrist was a little discolored. He said that it was also a severe burn, so he asked how much magic she used on a daily basis. Liz asked if it was really that bad. He said magical burns were a warning sign. If she kept pushing herself like this, she would waste away and die. When Liz said this had been there ever since she was little, he was shocked that she was still alive. He said he heard she was the daughter of the Riviere Magic Tool Shop. She confirmed him and said her name was Liz. He told her to stop making magical tools immediately and rest and recover for 1 month. She said okay, but she knew she couldn't afford to take time off, because if she did, she would get hit again. He showed her his pure magic stone. 8 years ago, when he had just started learning magic, he had it custom made at her shop. The stone's purity was truly amazing. He heard that no other artisan in their country could produce quality like this, only her shop could. He told her not to rush and take care of her life. She would be a renowned artisan someday. Liz recognized the magic stone and said she made it. He was shocked. She showed him her father's autograph and said he could see she had added the first letter of her name as a trace. She was so happy because this was the first time someone had called it a treasure. She told him to bring it to the shop and she would polish it up to look brand new and return it. He asked if she had proof that she was the one who made it. She said she could make one right now if he was okay with the same item. They mass-produced them, so it wasn't that impressive for her. But the man was shocked and thought she was joking around. However, Liz started making one right away and it was done. He said they weren't as amazing as the tools of a real mage crafter. She said she wasn't that skilled, but she could use a few rare techniques taught directly by her grandmother. Her grandmother was a very famous magic tool artisan. He said he knew her. He couldn't even count how many times this stone saved him. As he said she was his savior, Liz noticed that his scary face was gone. He wanted to repay this debt, but Liz was really happy he had been using it for so long. He interrupted her and asked what she usually ate. She said she was eating whatever was cheap, such as dark bread with bran. He asked what time she was getting up, and she said before sunrise. He then asked when she was sleeping. She said around midnight. Sometimes in his line of work he rescues illegal slaves, and she was just like them. He asked why she was being forced to use magic to her limits. The Riviere Magic Tool Shop was known for its unique items and high-end magic jewelry. A popular store, Magic Tool Shop rich enough to marry their daughter to a prince couldn't even feed their younger daughter properly, which was impossible. Liz was getting nervous because he was angry. She said the Magic Academy costs money, and at a small shop like theirs they all had to work to make ends meet. He told her not to be ridiculous. She was able to mass-produce pure magic stones, and she calls herself small-scale. She admitted that she didn't understand money. If her sister married into nobility, they would finally be freed from this life, and now that she was engaged, their lives were about to improve. But even he knew she was being deceived. But he knew she wouldn't understand even if he told her, because once someone was brainwashed, words were meaningless. Starting today, he decided to take her under his protection, and she didn't need to return home anymore. Liz was shocked. He finally told her that he was Duke Hospitalier Dior. Liz freaked out because Hospitaliers were a famous alchemy family. He was the one who was granted the title of Duke while still in his teens. Liz apologized for her rudeness. The Duke said she was a member of the House of Hospitalier starting today, and that was an order. If she disobeyed him, she would be punishable by death. In the next scene, she woke up smelling buttercream. She immediately remembered what happened last night. A butler came and brought her breakfast. It was egg and chicken breast soup. He asked if she would like jam or butter for her bread. Liz had so many questions in her mind. He said if she had no preference, she could leave it to him. As he put the cream on the bread, Liz's mouth watered just by watching it. She then asked where she was. He responded that this was the Hospitalier Duke's mansion, Lord Dior's primary residence, where he spends the most time. The meal he brought was so fancy that Liz was confused as to why they would bring her something like that. He responded that it was Lord Dior's order. He said she must eat properly, and if she refused to eat, she would be sentenced to death. She asked if they were going to charge her an outrageous price later. He told her that there was no charge, and no matter how much she ate, everything was free. Her super commoner mind couldn't believe this was real. She immediately started eating the buttered bread. Everything was way delicious. She finished all of them and thanked them for the meal. She then wondered who the butler was. He said he was Lord Dior's attendant, Pierre. At this residence, there were currently very few female staff members, so he had been assigned to take care of her needs. Until then, he asked her to allow him to serve her. This upper-class language was too much for her and she couldn't keep up with it. She asked what was going on and if he was talking about her when he said madam. He thought calling such a young lady madam might come off as inappropriate, so he called her my lady. She told him that her name was Lizerie and everyone called her Liz. Pierre asked her to take a rest for the remaining day and she would be called later for dinner. She asked if he was going to feed her again, and he said Lord Dior ordered him to feed her and make sure she sleeps and not let her do anything else. Before Pierre left, he said that tonight's main dish was steak from a Calegas calf. It was a richly flavored beef raised only on coastal pastures. She had no idea what that was, but it sounded so delicious. In the next scene, Pierre guided Liz to the dining room. Lord Dior was sitting there waiting for her and asked if she had slept well. She said she did. He told her that her family may tell her to come home, but she must ignore them and wait for her instructions. She was now realizing that she had abandoned all the work at the shop. She started to panic, thinking her parents and sister had found out she was slacking off here. Lord Dior asked for her response and she said yes. From now on, she must obey everything Lord Dior said. Even her family must never take priority over his orders. Liz was about to say something, but he didn't allow any backtalk. He told her that if she couldn't follow his orders, she would deliver severe punishments. He then told her to eat. The beef was so hot, but it was delicious. Lord Dior asked if it was good, and she confirmed to him. He told her to eat until she was full. Liz started to realize that even though his attitude was scary, he might be a good person. But still, just eating without doing any work made her uncomfortable. So she offered to peel the vegetables at least. Lord Dior seemed angry after she said that. He was about to repeat what he said, but she asked if even cutting vegetables would be going against orders. She said that he had taken her into such a grand mansion and even gave her meals. She didn't have any money, but at the very least she wanted to help with something. Lord Dior suddenly asked her if she liked dogs. She was puzzled, so he asked if she had any fear or discomfort around large dogs. She said she liked all animals, and as long as they didn't bite, it wasn't a problem. He said he wouldn't bite, but he was a bit rowdy. She seemed so excited that he had a dog. She wanted to see the big puppy. Lord Dior said he would give her a job. At the very least, she would reduce the cost of the food she had eaten. Starting tomorrow, he assigned her as Ferreira's walking partner. He was a real handful, so even walking him was a challenge. He told her to make sure to give him plenty of play and exercise every day. He noticed that she stopped using her fork, so he told her to eat more. The next day, another attendant of Lord Dior was trying to silence the dog because Liz was still resting. The dog could talk and said his precious walk time had already started. Liz came in hurriedly and apologized for oversleeping. The butler apologized for this foolish mutt barking loudly without restraint. The dog told him not to call him a mutt. Liz looked at him and realized that he could talk. The dog said he was his master's contracted spirit, his most beloved pet and loyal servant, the magical wolf Ferreira's. Pierre said he was a loudmouth with an oversized ego, but Liz found him so cute. At Liz's family's magic tool shop, she was treated like a slave, forced into heavy labor. When she collapsed during her sister's engagement ceremony, she was rescued by the Duke of Ice. Then she was assigned the role of dog walker. While running, Ferreira told her that she was such a scrawny weakling, even though she said she defeated his master. He told her to get used to walking long distances slowly first. They walked for a while until Ferreira decided that it was enough for the first day. He said she had done well for someone so fragile. Liz didn't know how big this garden was. Ferreira told her that she was not strong enough to hold his leash. He ran 100 kilometers every day, and she needed to at least keep up with a tenth of that. He then started saying a slogan for his running training. He then said he was going to give her her next task. He told her to fill this tub with water from that well. Liz asked if he couldn't summon water himself since he was a magic wolf. He said he could, but the well water tasted better. Liz continued taking water and noticed that the rope she was holding had a weight reduction magic formula cast on it. She brought him the water and he started playing with it. She had something in her mind and tried something on the water. She created a beautiful tub and asked Ferreris to place his pay right there. When he did, the tub automatically rose from the well, and now he could fetch water anytime. He was so happy and found her amazing. But he took his paw off the well so the whole water splashed into Liz. Ferreris was apologizing to Liz for getting too excited while Pierre brought her a towel. He apologized and said this foolish dog got carried away. They must get her to the bath before she catches a cold. He turned to Ferreris and asked if he should report all his rudeness toward Lady Liz to Lord Dior. That was the first time Ferreris was sweating and looked nervous. He even brought a bone to Liz for forgiveness. Meanwhile, at the Rivera Magic Tool Shop, they were informed by a letter that Liz would be taken into custody of the ducal family. Jean Riviere, Liz's father, was angry because it happened right when business was booming thanks to Artemisia's engagement to the prince. They had piles of unfilled orders and no materials. Liz's mother said Liz wasn't worth anything. Besides those petty household magic and blessing magic, she had nothing going for her. Household magic was small magic used to ease daily life, and blessing magic was magic activated with blessings from divine beings or spirits. Both were Liz's specialties, and she had used them in making magical tools. The shop was seeing record-breaking sales, and once this batch was done, they could live in luxury forever. Even if she was the only one recognized by her mother, once they got the money, they would send her to a convent where she couldn't use magic. If they did that, the world would never find out about one's talent. Liz's mother told Jean to make the materials because there was no point in whining. A few hours later, Jean could only make 3 threads spin. The mother scolded him and told him to just get used to it. Even half-trained Liz could do it, so she believed it would go quickly once he got the hang of it. At night, Artemisia was informed that Liz had been taken to the Duke's mansion. They thought she used magic burns as an excuse to escape work. She asked what they were going to do now. She had to finish the prince's special order. Her mother told her that they were already short on help as it was, and if she wanted it, she had to do it herself. She said she would do it, but she failed countless times. They were already out of materials. If the shop can't function without one errand girl, it might be because her skills have dropped. If she remembered correctly, the prince's request was a chameleon dress made from Maori fabric. One that reflects the wearer's will and changes color as they wish. It was the kind of item that only appears in fairy tales, but with her skills, he thought it should be possible. He told her that he was counting on her. Artemisia convinced herself that if even a fool like Liz could make it, then for her it would be easy. First, she generated a magic weave from a magic thread. This one was easy. She didn't know what her parents were struggling with. Now, to embed the color-changing magic formula, she started working on it, but the magic thread was not responding. She was shocked. Silk and cotton were magical insulators and didn't conduct magic. To weave a magic thread into them, she needed a special magic formula, and it was a secret technique. She was annoyed that it took such skill just to change colors. She wondered if silk and cotton were blocking the spell. She thought about spinning thread that could conduct magic, but she found no reason to do such menial work as thread spinning. She went to her parents and told them to bring Liz back. They were also at their limit trying to handle the material preparation, but Artemisia had something only she could do, so she was dedicated to bringing her back. Meanwhile, Liz was eating something that she didn't know the name of but found delicious. She loved it so much that she wanted the recipe. Lord Dior told Pierre to go get the recipe. The sky was really blue today. The flower beds were full of colorful blooms, and she never had time to look up at the sky before. Every day now, she gets to eat tasty food, walk in circles around the garden with Fariris, and play fetch with a stick. It was such a beautiful life, and she felt really happy. She felt like she had become much healthier now. She felt so full of energy. She could go back home and start working any time now. Pierre came back and explained to her that today's dessert was something called strawberry cream and gave her the recipe. She was so happy because she would make it herself. Lord Dior said if she wanted to eat it, she could have the chef make it any time. She said that wasn't what she meant. If she went back home, she thought it would be nice to be able to make it herself. However, Lord Dior stated that he didn't plan on letting her return home. He asked if she was dissatisfied with life here in his mansion. She said she would never say that. She had been the daughter of a magic tool shop since she was little, and she had helped with the family business, so she thought that was her fate. She was sure she was going to be taken back to those harsh days of making magic tools again. She said that his home was really fun. There was a lot of delicious food. Fariris was so cute, and playing with him was healing. Time seemed to pass more slowly in this mansion. It really made her realize that they live in completely different worlds, like she had just woken up from a dream, and now she faced reality. She thanked him for letting her dream. Her magic burn had gotten much better, so she was ready to return home any time. Lord Dior said he had no intention of sending her back. As long as she was not unhappy here, that was all that mattered. He then said he was getting engaged tomorrow. Liz was shocked. Fariris was also shocked. Liz asked if it was okay to be sitting here having tea with her. Lord Dior told her that he was talking about her and him. Liz started to freak out because she didn't even know anything about him yet. Lord Dior asked when he had said that he liked her. The fastest way to take custody away from her family was engagement, so he was choosing that. She was seriously misunderstood. He asked if she objected to this. She said no. He then asked if she wanted him to fall in love with her if they were going to be engaged anyway. He told her to hurry up and figure out a way to live on her own if she didn't want to be engaged to him. In their country, parental rights were unfairly strong. If her parents hit her and called it discipline, it was legal. But she hit them back. She would get severely punished. He knew she was being abused by her family. As long as it was done under the name of parenting, she wasn't allowed to resist, even if they used her up. So he asked how she could escape from them. If she couldn't think of a way by tomorrow, then she was going to be engaged to him. He said he may not be the ideal husband, but at least he wouldn't use her up and throw her away. Liz couldn't say anything after his words. Meanwhile, Artemisia was talking to a man describing her sister. She said she was a girl who was taken by the Duke's family. She gave him some money while saying it wouldn't be easy. She told him not to kill her and just rough her up a bit if he needed to. But she insisted that he must not harm her hands. They were the most important tools for her work. The next day, Lord Dior asked Liz if she had thought of a way to escape from her parents. She said she hasn't. He concluded that they were going to engage and told her to sign the document and make the vow. Liz told him that she understood that this was the only way for her to escape from her parents, but she wondered what benefit he gained. She was the daughter of a craftsman, so she was raised to be taught about business deals. They taught her that she must never make a deal without compensation. He asked if she really thought he was asking for profit from a person suffering due to magical burns. She said no, but there was no guarantee that the Duke wasn't a worse villain than her parents. He said she had learned to think things through to a certain degree, and he gave her credit for that. He decided to explain to her even though he was extremely angry at both her parents and at her too. He said that he cannot forgive those who treat a talented magic toolmaker like garbage. She needed to value herself more. He understood she was a poor girl who was exploited by her parents, but he was not kind enough to comfort her with gentle words, so he wanted her to obey him. Liz was scared as hell, so she said yes immediately. With that, he started the magic marriage contract. She signed the contract and he kneeled in front of her. In the name of Hera, the goddess of marriage, he vowed to take her as his future partner and to love them as long as he lived. With this, the engagement was official. He then asked how old she was. She said she was 15, already an adult. There was no way a girl barely T could craft a pure magic stone. She said that she made his magic stone when she was around 7 years old. Lord Dior seemed irritated and shocked. He said that he had this pure magic stone crafted for him when he was 11, so back then, he wasn't even close to the level of a 7-year-old. She tried to say that was not true, but he told her not to be modest because she definitely had talent. One day, she was going to surpass him with ease. He said he looked forward to her future. Later on, news of their engagement was posted in the newspaper and it caused quite a stir in high society, but her daily life remained calm and unchanged. something she never could have imagined back when she lived with her parents. She was living days that felt like a dream. One day, Pierre came and said that starting today she would have a personal maid assigned to her. She was sent from the master's family estate. She was well educated and skilled, so he believed she would be of great help to her. Liz said it was too much for someone like her. He told her that they could put even more effort into dressing her up now. Even though she had already been borrowing such lovely clothes, she wondered what they were. They were very fine garments, and she wondered whose belongings they were. Pierre responded that they were prepared by Lord Dior. He said she could make good use of them if she liked them. Liz was shocked. In the next scene, the maid arrived. She greeted Liz and said she was the new maid assigned to serve her. She bowed to her and said she may be lacking in some areas and asked her to guide her kindly. Liz stated that she was looking forward to working with her. She introduced herself and asked for her name. The woman responded that she could call her whatever she liked. Apparently, the servants didn't have names. But Pierre gave his name willingly, so Liz was a bit confused. She asked what she was called at her last place, and she said the madam called her Anne. Liz realized that their store did business with the Duke's family too, and the madam's name was also Lady Henriette. Normally, you wouldn't give a servant a name that's so similar to your own, so she wondered what kind of person that madam was. Anne responded that she was a wealthy woman living alone and quite elderly. She recently had her funeral, so Anne was looking for a new household. Liz immediately figured that she was lying. She told Anne that she said she came from the Duke's family. Anne said that wasn't true. Liz wondered if she should ask Pierre about this. Anne took out a knife and put it on her neck. She told him not to move, but Liz was already frozen. She assumed Liz understood what would happen if she didn't stay quiet. Liz was confused because there was no point in targeting her. She immediately figured out that the target was the Duke. Anne said she was going to make her drink poison now, and if she did exactly what she said, she would give her the antidote. Liz was confused as to what she was planning to make her do. She wondered if she was going to make her help assassinate the Duke. There was no way Liz would do that. Liz used her blessing magic and cocooned herself to hide her body. With a speed-up magic, she covered herself so Anne wouldn't kill her. With that, she was invisible. She was going to stay tight here. This fabric she made together with the cocoon was made purely from magic power, so her magic was perfectly reflected in it. On the surface, she cast illusion magic that blends in with the surroundings. Now her body was completely invisible to the eye. She had to go tell Pierre quickly, so she grabbed the bell and rang it. Since Anne saw the ring move, she grabbed the fabric and took it out of her. This was a cloak of invisibility. She was shocked because it had already been put to practical use. She asked if she had made this and called her Zena's granddaughter. Liz was sure that she was going to kill her now. Pierre's voice was heard behind the door, asking if she was okay. She immediately screamed for help and said this woman was bad. Pierre opened the door with Ferreras to catch the woman, but she used Liz's invisibility cloak and escaped from the window. Pierre asked if she was unharmed, and she said she was okay. She was just so scared. It was the first time she had ever seen an assassin. At night, Lord Dior came and said Pierre told him what happened. He asked what that was. She said it was something she made on the spot to protect herself. It wasn't a piece of evidence left by the criminal. He asked if that was the magically woven fabric. The amount of magic power in it was really high. She said it was made purely from magic power. When something was made from only magic power, it had too many flaws to be practical as fabric. But to layer invisibility magic on top of it, it was really useful. He was shocked, so Liz decided to show it to him. She used illusion magic and scenery assimilation and created another one. She said it was kind of childish and embarrassing, but this was the magic she was most used to using. Lord Dior told her that this could change the entire power balance of the country. He asked who else knew that she could use this magic or if she had anyone in her family who could also create things like this. She said they couldn't do that. Recently, she made a magical tool using a similar technique. It was an order from the prince. Her sister strictly commanded her to make it. It had a special effect of projecting the illusion of a white falcon flying. A rather unusual gimmick was included. Thanks to that, she had to study illusion magic thoroughly. Because she was working on that constantly, it came out instinctively. Lord Dior used to think she was just a genius magical toolsmith, but it seemed he was wrong. Lix said she was really not anything that grand, but Lord Dior meant that she was a legendary class magical toolsmith. She also drove off the assassin, and that deserved praise. When he said good job to her, Liz realized that she couldn't even remember the last time she was praised by someone. Liz thanked him. Ferreras also screamed that this was a great accomplishment, and as a special treat, he said he would let her pet his mane. Lord Dior grabbed him and took him out of the room. He said he was so noisy. He told her to make sure not to act recklessly because she was not here to be placed in danger. He held her hand and said this hand was no longer hers alone. While he was looking at her, Liz admired her pretty face. She realized that his nickname, the Duke of Ice, came from his eyes. But it might not just be surface level because his hands were so incredibly warm, and now she knew that. In the next scene, it had been 1 month since Liz was taken in and protected by Duke Hospitalier. Artemisia went to her mother and asked why she hadn't paid her tuition yet. Her mother said that the shady Kilta she hired to bring Liz back failed the job but took the money anyway. Now they were completely broke. They were nearly bankrupt just from the penalty fees. The shop was probably going to get seized, so their only option was to skip town before that happened. She was going to marry into royalty anyway, so she could drop out already. But there was no way she could let that happen. She went to the prince and said there was something she needed him to hear. He asked what was wrong. She said her family's business wasn't doing well, and at this rate she would have to drop out. Prince Albert told her that this was unacceptable. Her dropping out would be a national loss. She said that this wasn't all. Her family had been struck by terrible misfortune. At this rate, the chameleon dress he requested would be delayed as well. He asked what she meant. She said that her younger sister recently got engaged to a Duke Hospitalier. She said Liz was very envious of her being noticed by Prince Albert, and she must have been desperate to find a good match in her own way. She lied, saying their family abused her and used the Duke's sympathy to force the engagement. She said Duke Hospitalier thinks of them as enemies. He wouldn't even listen to her, and her parents were shocked to have their precious daughter taken from them. She said they had completely lost the will to live and were shutting down the shop. She asked Prince Albert if he could separate her sister from the Duke, and if possible, she wanted to meet and talk with her sister. She claimed that she was worried about her. Prince Albert believed her and said he would do what he could. Back at home, Artie was happy because she knew threatening Liz to make her suffer should be enough to bring her back. But still, she needed to be extra cautious, so she had a little bottle with her. In the next scene, Liz had a new maid. She had come from the Azoth estate as Lady Liz's personal maid, and her name was Kurumi. She said she was still in training and very inexperienced, but she humbly asked for her guidance. Liz was looking forward to working with her as well. After she drove off the assassin who had disguised herself as a maid, the real maid showed up at her door. Lady Kurmi's identity was confirmed by Lord Ferrirus, who could sniff out people's true identities. Kurumi said that while she served as Lady Liz's conversation partner, she was also to assist privately with things like cleaning and dressing. If any problems come up, especially ones she would rather not have men know about, she could feel free to consult her. Liz realized that she wasn't inexperienced at all. Kurumi heard that Liz was quite skilled at making magical tools, so she put together a beginner kit to get closer to her. But it didn't work. Liz asked to take a quick look at it. She said it was a standard circuit powered by magic energy, but one part wasn't aligned properly. She fixed it and now it was working. Kurumi was amazed because she spent a whole week agonizing over it. Liz was modest again, saying it was pretty easy once she got the hang of it. She was surprised that she had prepared this just to get closer to her. Liz asked Kurumi if she had a favorite design. She said she was good at making small crafts and she was thinking of making something like an accessory to hang a watch. Kurumi was so excited that she was going to do that. She thanked her for her thoughtfulness, but she had never really thought about her own preferences. Since she was a live-in maid, she didn't have many clothes of her own either. But if she had to say, she liked things that matched this maid outfit. Liz said most of her clothes were durable, fire-resistant work outfits for convenience, so she was still not used to frilly clothes either. Kurumi said they both need to explore what they truly like together. She then said she was going to become a proper lady of this house and called her a mistress. Liz was shocked, so she said she was the fiancée of Duke Hospitalier and it was only natural. Liz told her that this was an emergency measure. She then told her what happened. Kurumi was confused because this was the first time she had seen the Duke show interest in a woman. He was normally very anti-woman, but Liz didn't agree with that at all. Kurumi then suggested testing the Duke. At dinner, Liz started eating before Lord Dior came. When he came, the first thing he asked was if Liz had been eating properly. Liz said everything was delicious and smiled. Her face was so funny that Lord Dior couldn't stop himself and had to turn his back on her to laugh. Pierre reminded Lord Dior that it was quite rude to laugh as soon as he saw a woman's face. He apologized and complimented that she looked very different today. Kurumi whispered to Liz that he was very pleased with how she looked. She told her to be confident. The master had never complimented a woman in recorded history. She mentioned that the master's ideal type was exotic creatures, but that wasn't a compliment at all. While eating their desserts, Lord Dior informed Liz that they were going to the royal castle tomorrow. He then turned to Kurumi and told her to get all dressed up for it. The next day, they head to the royal castle in a carriage. Liz seemed to have dozed off, so he asked what it was. She asked why the royal castle again. He said it was a personal summons from the first Prince Albert. She asked if they were friends. He said they weren't, but he was probably interested in her. He ordered him to bring her along. He heard Liz's sister would be there too. Liz was sure she was going to be mad at her for not going home. She was scared to see her. Lord Dior patted her head and reminded her that she was his fiancée. Even if they demanded something from her, she was not allowed to accept it without his permission. She must always get his approval. He then asked if she knew about Prince Albert. She was the one who used to always have her sister make him magical tools. Lord Dior also knew that he was interested in magical tools. He even pushed through opposition to get engaged to Lady Artemisia, a magic tool shop's daughter. And now here comes their engagement. He would definitely take an interest in her too. Liz was scared because if the prince became interested in her magical tools, her sister would kill her. Lord Dior asked what she meant. She said that all of her sister's magical tools were made by her. Lord Dior figured that her sister was trying to bring her back just so she would keep making tools for her. He decided that it was better to keep their engagement a secret. If the prince finds out that protecting her was the reason, not only will he learn her true potential, but her sister might harm her, and the prince might try to use his power to claim her for himself. Liz asked what she should do. He told her that they were going to say the reason he got engaged to her was that he fell in love at first sight. But Liz wasn't sure if that would be convincing. He told her that he and she were a couple in love, marrying for romance. She had no choice but to say yes. When they arrived, Liz had a tough time getting out of a carriage in a dress. Lord Dior called her a fool and told her that at times like this, she was supposed to accept a gentleman's hand. He offered his hand to her and called her his dear fiancée. Liz was so nervous because they were pretending to be lovers. She had no idea how to respond in times like these. She tried to figure something out and thought about an old fairy tale or opera promo. She smiled at him with a red face and called him her winter general of love. Lord Dior had the hardest time trying not to laugh at her. She apologized and said she wasn't used to this. The guards came and guided them. When they went inside, Artemisia ran towards her and said she was so surprised by her sudden engagement. She said she was glad she got to see her and was really worried. Artemisia went further and even hugged her while asking if she had been eating properly. She was playing the worried big sister role quite professionally, but at the same time she was stepping on Liz's foot to hurt her. She then asked why she had suddenly left the house and said she was troubling the Duke. She immediately asked her to come with her. Lord Dior interrupted her and told her that she was not troubling him. He put his arm around her and said even if she was her sister, she could not try to monopolize his fiancée. He held her hand and said that just thinking about someone else holding her beloved hand made him jealous. Both Prince and Artemisia were shocked that he could actually smile. They sat together and Prince Albert thanked them for coming today. The reason he invited them was because Arte was really worried about her little sister, and he thought he would help them meet again. While he was talking, Lord Dior couldn't keep his hands off of Liz, so Prince had to tell them to stop giving off that stay-away vibe. Arte teased Lord Dior for making such a face as the Ice Duke, and said there must be so many women burning with jealousy right now. He responded that there had been a misunderstanding because even he could smile in front of someone he cared about, and he couldn't live without Liz anymore. Arte apologized to Prince Albert for her sister's manners, but he said she didn't have to apologize for that. Seeing him acting like that, Liz had to whisper to him to tone down the flirting because they were in front of the prince. Lord Dior thought they should make it clear they were a loving couple. She told him that he didn't need to cling like that to show it, but he didn't know that because his older brother and his wife were always like that. Liz suggested showing their closeness with words instead. Arte told Liz that she had been so worried about her. She said that their father and mother had both been worn down with worry. She asked if she knew how many people she had caused trouble for. Liz knew that she had left a bunch of unfinished work at the shop too. She messed up work and she was sure her father and mother were furious. Arte told her to come home right now. Lord Dior stepped up and said he couldn't allow that. He said he truly loved her and if they were separated now he would waste away. And besides, without her, he wouldn't be who he is today. She made his magic stone and saved his life. She was also a dear friend who encouraged him. Prince Albert seemed interested in his magic stone. He said it was a great piece. So rare in fact that even Prince Albert cannot see it. Prince Albert asked him to show it to him and said the one he always used was something Arte made. Liz knew it, that was the one she made. He said it was a pure magic stone, 100% untainted. Very few magic toolmakers could craft like this. In their country, this level is equal to at least dragon rank ability. Liz was puzzled, so Prince Albert said their magic system had 10 levels. To reach witch rank the 7th level, you need a legendary skill. Only about 1% of magic users reach witch rank, and among those, only 1 in 10,000 becomes a dragon rank. Those were huge numbers, she didn't really get it, but it sounded amazing. Prince Albert confirmed that it was amazing. He thought Arte was the only one in this country who could make these. He had been encouraging her to take the official magic level exam, but she kept refusing. She acted like she didn't care about the rankings, and that was one of the things Prince Albert loved about her. Liz was focused on how amazing the stone she made was that amazing. Ever since she started making these, her mother became scared. No matter what she made, she wouldn't praise her. She just got mad. She struggled, but now she could see it. While she was thinking about it, Lord Dior said she looked like she was having fun. He seemed jealous that the famously gentle and polite Prince Albert could be so chatty with her. He approached her ear and told her that she didn't realize her worth. She was clearly a legend. He said it was the top first level, and he suggested taking the test sometime. Once she knew her strength, she would find her next goal. She would like to try. Arte jumped into the conversation and told her to mind her manners. Getting engaged right after meeting and visiting his home was too much. Lord Dior stated that they had a connection for a while. He had placed many orders at Liz's magic tool shop, and that was how they got closer. Arte called him a terrible man for making moves on an unmarried girl. She then wanted to talk just to the two of them. Lord Dior told Artemisia that his heart already belongs completely to Liz, and if someone tried to tear them apart now, he might lose his sanity. And if he had to get her back, he would do anything. After that warning, Artemisia and Liz went outside to talk alone. Immediately after being alone with Liz, she started throwing her against the wall. She yelled at her that because she ran away, the shop was ruined. They couldn't even pay her school fees anymore. She told her that she cannot compensate for this damage. Liz started crying and apologized, but she wasn't satisfied. She started beating her while telling her that if she told the prince some lies about her, she could have Liz executed on the spot. She told her to tell the Duke she was returning home for a bit when they got back. Liz said she couldn't because she promised the Duke she wouldn't do that. Artie didn't insist on this any longer and told her to drink a potion. Liz had seen that bottle before but didn't know what it was. Arte told her that from now on she was going to start having seizures from her illness. But Liz didn't have any illness, so she was confused. She told Liz that if she drank this, it would look like she was having seizures. But little by little, it would kill her. If she came back home, Artie would give her the antidote. She told her to tell the Duke she needed to go home to get her medicine. Liz remembered what that bottle was. She asked if it was she who sent the assassin after her. She said she didn't mean to kill her, she just wanted to bring her back home. Liz confirmed that her sister was not normal. No one in their right mind would do that to their own family. She had always treated her cruelly. She was clever, so no one ever noticed, but she had always done terrible things to her. She scared her, and Liz knew something was wrong with her. But she was raised to obey her, to never defy her no matter what. So even now, part of her thinks she should go home like she said. But if she did that, she would never escape her. She would be trapped forever. She recalled what Lord Dior said about her hand, and realized that she wanted to go back to Lord Dior's palace. She used magic thread weaving and threw the bottle away. After tying her up, Liz walked away. Artis screamed at her that she was going to pay to treat her like this. Liz turned back and told her that she was not going back home. Liz had to hurry back to the Duke, but Arte told her to stop. She untied herself and said she was told not to hurt anyone with her precious business tool. That was her older sister's specialty, synopsis magic. Liz couldn't even move her body. Arte said there was no help with it. She said she didn't want to use it because it could sometimes leave after effects on the mind, but she was going to. She told her to sleep a little. She convinced her that all that had happened until now was all just a dream, and when she woke up, she would be back at the magic tool shop, just as an ordinary day would begin again. She tried not to listen to her. Arte was telling her that she made magic tools day after day. Every day was busy, but it was fun. From now on, as the magic tool shop for the royal family, she was going to prosper. She said it was her dream all along. Liz knew that she didn't believe that kind of thing. Arte told her that only wonderful things happen, only happy things come her way, and anything bad would be delayed. Liz couldn't withstand her and let herself go. Lord Dior came to check on her because they were taking so long to return. He then saw Arte holding Liz. He asked if they were in the middle of a fight. Annoyed, Arte said it was nothing. She said she was going to change real quick because her clothes were dirty. Lord Dior asked Liz if she was hurt, and she said she was fine. Back in the prince's room, Prince Albert suggested that Liz go back home even just once. He said Arte was really worried about her. He said that she cried, saying she wanted to see her sister even just once. Her sister was good at fake crying. Prince Albert asked Lord Dior if he couldn't forgive her too. He understood that he wanted to stay together, but if this continues, her family and Arte would be the ones to suffer. Lord Dior had to reveal the fact that Liz was being abused by Lady Artemisia. Prince was shocked and said she would never do something like that. Lord Dior asked if he didn't notice that Liz was walking strangely when she came back. Prince Albert said he didn't look closely. Lord Dior stated that he did see, and it clicked right away. She was attacked in a way that wouldn't leave bruises on the face. Through the gaps in the corset, the puffer skirt, and her shaping underwear. If it touched her bare skin, it would be around her leg. The moment he touched her legs, she started screaming. He apologized for hurting her and said he would have a healer look at it later. Prince Albert asked Liz to tell her honestly about what Arte did to her just now. She said she tried to make her drink poison while they were behind the building. She probably wanted to make it look like her chronic illness got worse so she could take her back home. She said she grabbed the bottle from her and smashed it. There might still be shards scattered on the ground. But Prince Albert said Arte wouldn't do something like that. He said it might be that they all put those bruises on her. She could have smashed the bottle herself to make it look like poison without anyone noticing. Since he didn't see it with his own eyes, it was not really proof. Liz realized that it was happening again. When she was little and she told people her sister bullied her, the adults always said the same thing. They told her to stop lying. Lord Dior stated that his answer was simple. Even if it goes against his wishes, he will never return Liz to Lady Artemisia or her birth family. He carried Liz in her arms and left the room. He apologized for dragging her out by force. From now on, he promised to protect her no matter what happens. Liz convinced herself that he was just acting, but still she felt embarrassed. Lord Dior said they were going now. And as for Lady Artemisia, he asked the prince to let her know clearly that if she laid another hand on Liz, he wouldn't forgive her. Even when they were back at home, Lord Dior didn't put her down, because that was her fault for not letting him treat her earlier. She said she felt so embarrassed to show off her bony thighs. Kermie came and asked what was wrong. Lord Dior asked Pierre to call a healer and Kermie to help Liz change her clothes. While she was changing her clothes, Lord Dior waited outside and Pierre informed him that there had been some accident somewhere so the healer would be late. This was getting ridiculous, so he decided to heal her herself. He asked if he could take a look. Liz had no choice but to say yes. She opened her legs and showed him the wounds. Lord Dior reminded her that this was medical treatment and there were no hidden motives. While healing her, he asked if it hurt. She said it was hurting just a little, but he was being gentle. While healing her, Lord Dior recalled what Prince Albert said about his magic stone. He told Liz to be careful around the first prince and not believe what he said. Liz said yes, but she didn't think he was a bad person. If he was being tricked by her sister, then she pitied him. Lord Dior reminded her that she only needed to follow his orders. She realized that the Duke listened to her, he took her side, and she could trust this man. She promised to listen to him, and he smiled a little bit. Her legs seemed fine now, so he said he would have Pierre bring her a light meal. He told her to call him if anything felt off with her body. Liz was still thinking about how kind he was, but he was very strict and scary at the same time. Meanwhile, Arte was thinking about today. She knew that Lord Dior knew Liz was a genius at making magic tools. If the truth were exposed, and if Albert, who was obsessed with magic tools, recognized Liz's talent, it would be over for Arte. She was far superior as a woman. She also wondered why the Duke didn't say that the magic stone was made by Liz. She realized that he might not want the prince to know. If that was how it was, then the one to stay favored by Prince Albert was still her. There was no stage for Liz to stand on. That girl was nothing but a pathetic, miserable slave of hers. The chameleon dress was a fairy tale-like dress that changes color freely to match the wearers. However, in reality, recreating this color-changing feature requires an extremely complex and refined magical formula. Until now, no one had ever succeeded in producing one. Lord Albert thanked Arte for her hard work and asked how the development was going. She apologized for keeping him waiting. He said there was no need to apologize. He was just surprised because it was rare to see her struggling with something. The Riviere Magical Tool Shop had always run with support from the whole family, and if even one person was missing, everything fell apart, she said. Prince Albert asked if Lady Liz was really that capable. She said she only asked her to help with errands, but errands were still important tasks. He said he hoped she would come back soon. Artie's situation was still bad. Prince Albert might have noticed Liz's talent, so she had to produce some kind of result quickly. Back when she failed trying to incorporate the color-changing formula into magical weave, she read something in a book. Materials like resins and cotton didn't conduct magic or wind. They acted like magical insulators. To embed a magical formula into a magic thread, you need to develop it in a very specific and unique way. This technique was highly confidential, so the issue wasn't the dress design, it was the material. The magic thread was the problem. Normally, when spinning magic thread, it was mixed to increase the thread's strength and quality by combining magic power and thread. The higher the percentage, the harder it becomes to conduct magic, which was a big drawback. In other words, for a chameleon dress that could freely change colors, she may need thread spun entirely from magic power. That kind of technology was something she had never even heard of. But if Liz made pure magic stones, she might also have researched how to create high-purity magic thread. She couldn't find any memos on that research before, so she might have hidden them somewhere. She decided to look for them. She used her magic to find her notes, and the candle she was using started to light. Some footprints appeared on the ground, and she followed them. With her power, she found it. The next day, Liz was walking for Iris. She ran 3 kilometers today, and it was an achievement. He said his fur helps cure diseases, so he allowed her to pet him. She decided to analyze the magical components of the Maffick wolf's fur later. Kermie came and informed her that Lord Dior was calling for her. She went, and he told her that a letter had arrived from Prince Albert. She asked if it was another summons. Apparently, it was a different matter this time. She opened the letter and started reading it. By the order of His Highness Prince Albert, she and the Duke were invited to attend this grand celebration. At this splendid night event, a new type of magical weave would be unveiled. Liz said it was the dream material. Magical weave, woven entirely from magic power, holds limitless potential. He supposed the principle behind it was similar to the invisibility cloak she made recently. He asked if this was her invention too, and she confirmed it. She said her sister had always stolen her research. She had always made fun of her by doing detailed investigations and serious studies. She couldn't believe she created that fabric herself. Most likely she copied the magical formula straight from her research notes. Last time she stole one of her designs and made it into a product, she wanted it hadn't passed the safety tests, but she ignored her, and since then, she had been hiding all her incomplete research. But this time, what she stole was a serious problem. She told Lord Dior that it was highly dangerous and could cause fatal accidents if used wrong. He asked what she meant. She explained that it was extremely flammable. The same fabric, due to its structure, catches fire easily if exposed to even a small amount of fire magic. He created a fire and asked if she could try creating a small magical flame and move it close. She showed him and proved that it burst into flames instantly and leaves no trace. If her sister had been able to embed a fireproof formula, it would have been fine, but she couldn't do it herself, so it was that difficult. Rather than expecting her sister to pull off such advanced techniques, they need to prepare for the worst because someone could die. They would have to go there and check it themselves. If it were in the royal palace, the whole area would be protected by an anti-magic barrier, so an accident was unlikely. But still, she wondered if they could cancel the event. Lord Dior said it was impossible. The person in charge wouldn't listen no matter what she said, and they didn't have the connections to force it through. Liz had a favor to ask. Meanwhile, Prince Albert was checking the fabric Arte made. He said it was incredible. This chameleon dress base was revolutionary even if it wasn't finished yet. If they had this, their country could gain a huge military advantage. In battle, clothes that shift color to match the environment could massively improve ambush tactics. And if they involve people who specialize in illusion magic, the uses will expand even more. As he thought, Arte was a genius. He thought he was tight to place his trust in her. He couldn't wait for the unveiling. It had been a while since Liz made a magic tool. She didn't have much time, so she had to rush it, but it was fun. She got so into it that she pulled an all-nighter. Even though she was satisfied, if the Duke found out she didn't sleep, he might kill her. Lord Dior came and found her awake. She said she woke up really early for some reason, but he noticed that she was talking weirdly and immediately figured out that she had stayed up all night. He told her if she overdid it, he would take her tools away. Liz apologized and said she got carried away, but she said she finished her magic tool. He said that was great, but he never said it was okay to ruin her health. She said she would show him the finished item after she had adjusted it. She bowed to him and thanked him for allowing her to make magic tools. Her sister's invention, the Maggiore, which would be displayed this time, was extremely flammable. Even though her research was stolen, it was still her invention. She didn't want anyone to get hurt because of it. When she was asked to make magic tools, since he told her that even in the royal palace, where magic was banned, magic tools could still be used, she was able to prepare a special emergency tool. Lord Dior told her that she was still recovering from illness and from now on she wasn't allowed to make tools without his permission. She said she was treated so well here and wanted to use her regained energy for something good. He then told her to never pull an all-nighter again. The day of the presentation arrived and Liz hadn't entered the castle since the engagement ceremony. She was really nervous enough to feel it in her stomach. Lord Dior told her to be sure not to binge again like last time. The butler welcomed them to the Magic Tool Festival. He said that this fabric, developed by Lady Artemisia of the Riviere Magic Tool Shop, changes color depending on the wearer's mood. They offered cloaks for men and capes for women. Lord Dior said he got dizzy from the crowd and wanted to get some fresh air. Liz thanked them for the cloak and the cape. Liz checked the fabric outside and said this magic thread didn't have any fire protection. Lord Dior was surprised that she could tell just by looking at it. He said he would use her cloak to test it. With a small fire, the cloak started burning just as she thought. If it catches fire, the cloak or cape would burn up quickly, and if the flame spreads to regular clothes, that would be a serious problem. It would go up in flames like a phoenix. Cotton was harder to burn, but if it was mixed with magic thread, it became weaker. Most people today don't wear clothes made from 100% natural fiber. There was a barrier, so open flames shouldn't be an issue, but they must prevent any accidents. That's why she brought something. She hid the magic tools she made in her legs just in case. It had magic water sealed inside. She adjusted the power so it was safe to aim at people. If anyone catches fire, they are going to shoot them with it. He didn't mind it, but he did not expect her to hide it in there. She said she was worried they wouldn't let her in if it looked like a weapon, so she used a lightning enchantment to hide it. She never failed to surprise him. He couldn't use magic inside the venue either, so he would gladly use it if needed. He then offered his hand to her and asked if they should go. He called her his lovely fiancée, so she asked if they weren't done pretending to be lovers. He said he didn't feel like explaining everything if people started poking into their engagement. It was easier to say they had fallen in love and got engaged. They went inside and everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves, and the women were staring at them. There were so many people talking about them, so Liz was so nervous. Lord Dior turned to Liz and asked what was wrong. She said there were a lot of people staring at her. He told her not to worry while dancing with her. He said it was like that for all newcomers. One of the women in there came with teary eyes and saw Liz. She was beautiful. Liz asked if he knew her, and before he could respond, she said she was the daughter of the Knight Commander of the Central Order, Urraca. Apparently, she was in love with Lord Dior for so long and couldn't accept his engagement. She told Liz that she had worked hard to become a worthy woman for the Duke. She is called Liz Tiny and Plain. Liz was surprised that she was crying that much. She got mad and asked if it was wrong to cry because she was serious. Liz was about to reveal the fact that their engagement was fake, but Lord Dior covered her mouth and told Urraca that if his beloved Liz said something rude to her, he must apologize. Liz looked at Lord Dior and she could see him ordering her to stick to the plan. Lord Dior grabbed her face and approached her. He said crowds must be exhausting and asked if they should go somewhere they could be alone. Seeing this scene, Urraca couldn't help but cry her eyes out. That was a bit cruel, so Liz was worried, but he said he would check on her later. Someone started laughing so much behind Lord Dior and asked if he was seriously flirting with a girl. He asked if he was even the same person, and if his ice heart melted while he wasn't around. He said it had been a while since they last met and wondered if his heart had melted and disappeared. Apparently his name was Lionel. He hugged him and teased him for being lovey-dovey with such a little girl. Lord Dior told him that Liz was a proper lady now that she was of age and warned him not to say such disrespectful things. He laughed again and said it didn't look like that. Liz wondered who that person was. Lord Dior said he was a comrade in arms. Lionel seemed offended, and he wanted to introduce himself properly. He greeted her and said back in the previous interstate war, Dior served as the rearguard commander and he was the charge commander. They went through life and death together and they were best friends. He then leaned on her and asked if Dior wasn't stressed from being caught up in something. He was all high and mighty and grumpy. Liz stated that Lord Dior was always kind to her. Lionel was about to touch her face while saying she could switch over to him, but Lord Dior hit his finger really hard. He told him to stay away from Liz. Lionel claimed that it was just a joke and that he was happy for him. He told Lionel that he had reason to humor him, but Lionel kept teasing him. He then asked Liz how they met, but Lord Dior told him not to talk to her, so he said he would go say hi to the others over there. When he was finally gone, Lord Dior told her that even if he talked to her, she didn't have to respond. He was dangerous, so Lord Dior didn't want her to go near him. She wondered what he thought of Lord Lionel. He said he was a rare beast, the same type as Ferreris. Finally, it was time to begin the Magical Tools Festival. At the entrance, they were given a new material cloak and cape. The butler said they were made with thread spun using only magic. Natural fibers didn't work well with spells, so to solve that inconvenience, they developed this. The color changes freely according to the wearer's will, with a silk-like shine that was also adjustable. This new material brings out endless possibilities for dresses. Now they were going to welcome Prince Albert, the host of this festival, and his fiancée and the inventor, Lady Artemisia. They entered the room and welcomed everyone. The people saw them as the perfect match. Artemisia thanked everyone for gathering here today for the unveiling of her new magical tool invention. She said that what she was wearing now was made from the same material they were all given. There were red, yellow, and blue colors that changed at will. It was just like the dream they had, a chameleon-like dress. Prince Albert said only Artemisia could accomplish such a great technological feat. Her inventions would undoubtedly bring prosperity to their country. As a prince of this country, and as her face, he was proud of her. Lord Dior commented that he didn't look like he planned to mention that the material was flammable. While looking at her sister, Liz noticed that the background behind her sister looked distorted. She saw an eye, and she recognized it immediately. She was the assassin maid. Something dropped on the floor and it was a magical seed flame tool. She screamed to her sister to watch out, but it was too late. The seed dropped on the floor and Artemisia's dress started to burn. The sparks were spreading to the audience near the stage. Lord Dior gave her permission, and she took out the magical tool she was hiding. With only one hit on the sky, the whole area was wet. The fire was mostly out, but they needed to catch that person quickly. They were hiding behind her cloak of concealment that was stolen back. That was how she got close to her sister on stage. She told Lord Dior to leave this to her and said there might be embers left. He asked what she was planning to do, and she said she was going after the culprit. The one who started the fire was the fake maid, an imposter of Kurumi who broke into the manor. Since she was using her thread of magic weaves, she could still trace her presence. Lord Dior told her not to do anything reckless and said he would catch up soon. Lionel came, and Dior told him that he needed his help. Lionel was ready for it. Meanwhile, Liz was tracking the assassin. If she followed the trail of his own magic power, she could find her. Finally, she found her. The woman took out the invisible cloak and seemed like she was already waiting for her. Liz asked her why she started the fire. She said that her employer said it would be troublesome if the prince had access to such dangerous magic tools. She told her that the invisibility cloak she made was a terrifying piece of work, and they couldn't let something like that fall into royal hands. Although the version her sister made was so poorly made, it was a total letdown. Liz asked if her employer had a grudge against the royal family. She didn't answer that, but she said that this incident would definitely make this country's magic tool development shrink back, and magic tool makers like her cannot be left. She attacked her with the knife again. This place was outside the magic-restricted barrier, so Liz could use magic. She figured that Liz used everyday magic to embed magic circles into tools. It wasn't that special if she knew the source. She handcuffed her and told her not to fight back because she didn't want to hurt her hands. Liz realized that she was planning to kidnap her. She tried to use everyday magic again, but because of those cuffs, she couldn't. She told Liz that if she kept resisting, the hidden blades in the cuffs would cut off her wrists. She tried to think of a way to use magic. She then realized that those cuffs were used by their country's knights. If it were this type, then the hidden blade was just a bluff. This wasn't deadly, so she tried to crack the cuffs. After losing it a bit, she managed to unlock it. The woman was shocked because there was no way a normal person could do such a thing. Liz used blood to draw the magic circle and turned her gloves into magic tools. The woman was panicked. Liz told her that her magic was not just everyday magic. After attacking her, she wanted to call for someone, but she grabbed Liz's wrist and said she had made the inside of her outfit fire-resistant. She already knew the weaknesses of the new material. She covered her mouth and said she was a legend. Bringing her back would surely make that person very happy. She tried not to inhale the gas, but she couldn't breathe anymore, so she gave up. However, right before giving up, someone came and defeated the woman. It was Lord Dior, asking what she was doing to his Liz. Liz was shocked. Lord Dior approached her and asked if she was okay. She was so happy and said she was okay. She asked about the assassin and he said he avoided the vital points, so she was still alive. They were going to take her back and get her treated. There were things they needed to ask her and sins she must atone for. While talking, he noticed her and asked what had happened. She said it was just a little scuffle with the assassin. He immediately carried her with his arms and said her treatment comes first. The criminal could be handed over to the military police later. Inside, he put her down and healed her wrists. She asked where she was, and he said it was a temporary hospital. They had allowed limited use of healing magic just for this occasion. Thanks to her magic tool, there were no casualties. The attacker set fire first all over the place, but most were extinguished before spreading. Liz was glad that her magic tool was useful. Lord Dior said her sister, who wore the dress made of the new material, was injured. She was so mad and requested a better doctor. She suffered severe burns across her entire body. Artie wasn't the beautiful woman she used to be. This meant that she was worth nothing at all. The day after the presentation, under the pretense of investigating the incident with the display, Liz was summoned to the royal palace along with Lord Dior. Liz was so nervous about facing the king that she couldn't control her volume while greeting him. The king asked if she was Artemisia's little sister. She said her name was Liz. King Alexander asked her to tell him everything she knew about the incident, in as close to chronological order as possible. Liz explained everything to His Majesty the King, starting from when she received the invitation. The king asked why she realized so quickly that it was her invention. Liz was a bit nervous because the king told her to tell him everything honestly. If she lies about anything, he will have no choice but to charge her with a crime. Liz had to reveal that her sister had always been stealing her research notes. So, when she read that one line in the invitation about the new species of Magori, she immediately knew it had been created by copying her research notes. And there was a high possibility that her sister didn't understand how dangerous it was. The king then asked Lord Dior if he had decided to protect Liz from the Riviere magic tool shop after learning the truth, and Lord Dior confirmed it. Liz wondered what was going to happen to her sister now. The king reminded Liz that she wasn't in a position to ask questions. Liz immediately apologized. The king concluded their meeting and told them that lunch had been prepared in the dining hall. Liz was pretty interested in this information. They went to the dining hall and Liz ate delicious meat. She had to ask what that incredibly delicious thing on top of the meat was because it was so rich and tasty. Lord Dior said they were foie gras and truffles, and he could have his chef make it for her if she liked it. She said she would engrave the flavor into her memory with all her senses. Liz suddenly started to moan, so he thought she was going to throw up again. She said the meal was good, but she couldn't eat it all because of the corset. She begged Lord Dior with teary eyes to take the rest home. Lord Dior told her to try asking the butler. After asking the butler if she wanted to take this meat home, Lord Dior told Liz that in this whole incident, the fact that lives were saved was thanks to her. The incident would likely be kept from the public, and her talents probably wouldn't be officially recognized right now, but he was proud of her. Still, he scolded her for rushing off on her own. Liz told him that it all started because her research had been stolen in the first place, and if she was able to help at all, it was only because Lord Dior helped her. He was always there for her, and she was so thankful for that. She also complimented him on how cool his ice magic was when he saved her from the assassin. She said that his mana was powerful, so it was incredibly strong, but at the same time it sparkled delicately and shone, and this made her feel warm. Lord Dior was puzzled and asked how ice magic could possibly feel warm. Even in the last war he hurt many people, even if they were the enemy. Liz objected, saying it was warm because at the same time he protected so many others. It made her heart feel calm and it made her feel safe too. It was like a warm meal at home. She said she really loved his magic. Her words reminded Lord Dior of the times when people approached him because he was a highly promising mage. He said that he was glad he got engaged to her, but she didn't hear him and he didn't repeat what he said, so she would never know what he said. At the carriage, Liz said she had a request. She asked if he could heal her sister's burns. Lord Dior stated that he was a magician, not a healer. Liz said his magic was so beautiful, and she believed he would be a wonderful healer too. Lord responded that treating burns was difficult. Once the skin was damaged, there was no way to restore it to how it was. Even if the wound heals, pigmentation remains and it is impossible to return to the original fair skin. Liz was shocked. Lord Dior told her that her sister would likely remain that way for the rest of her life. After that, the accident caused by her sister was officially closed as an unfortunate incident in which she was used by an organization trying to overthrow the state, based on her testimony and other circumstantial evidence. The assassin was securely imprisoned but showed no signs of revealing any valuable information. The identity of the mastermind remained unknown. What happened to her sister? And Prince Albert hadn't been told her at all. She only heard from Lord Dior that they had apparently been confined somewhere inside the royal palace. The incident never appeared in the newspapers, and thanks to the gag order, she didn't even hear any rumors. Little by little, daily life had started to return to normal for everyone around her. But still, her sister was probably still suffering from those burns even now. In the next scene, Liz was dreaming about the time when she cut her finger while working with her grandmother, and she told her never to spin magic thread with an injured hand because it would stick and wouldn't come off anymore. It becomes part of her skin. Silk was close to human skin, and under the right conditions it could turn into real human skin. She told her to remember this well because if she ever gets seriously injured, she could heal herself. She woke up from the dream and couldn't believe she forgot something so important like that. She wondered what conditions her grandmother mentioned. The magical tool encyclopedia her grandmother left behind for her, a book of fantasy magic tools. On the first page it said, "How to make the famous magical bridle of the beast Sleipnir." It was a mythological artifact made from non-existent materials, something that shouldn't exist in this world. Other pages were filled with enchanting magical tools as well. Her parents mocked it as a childish fantasy, but she loved it. She used to stare at it, completely captivated as a child. After her grandmother passed away, she got so busy with the shop work, she completely forgot about it. She forced her memory for a while to remember what the book said and managed to remember it. It was the Selkie skin. She went to her desk and started rustling the papers. After that, she knocked on Lord Dior's door and he let her in. She said that she might be able to heal her sister's burns. Lord Dior was interested. She asked her to read a blueprint for a magical tool. If it were him, Lord Dior, he would know right away just by glancing at the blueprints that it was a magical tool, right out of a fairy tale. Lord Dior said that for an average magician like him, it would be impossible to know. Selkie skin was a magical tool that created an artificial skin-like magic weave that perfectly matched the target's magical crest, and then you inscribe a specific magic formula into it. A technique that uses magical tools to create artificial skin and apply it to make burns less noticeable. He had seen something similar in a foreign research paper before. Weaving animal-based magic thread to imitate a magical creature was a high-level technique that required masterful craftsmanship. No forger in their country could do something like that, but Liz said she could do it. She said that her grandmother drilled it into her. Lord Dior was once again amazed by Liz. She was really a genius. She said that she could provide artificial skin, but they would need help from a doctor for the transplant. She asked if he could help her. Lord Dior wanted to know why she would go that far for her. She brought this on herself and she could just let her deal with the consequences. She responded that it was because she was scared of her sister. He responded that this was another reason to leave her alone. She plagiarized, blew up her own work, and ended up burned. If the royal family finds out she lied, she would definitely be sentenced. No one would save her, and no one would care. Liz responded that she would worry about her for the rest of her life. Her sister had always been scary to her, both now and in the past. She lived inside her mind. No matter what she did, she couldn't help but worry about her gaze, and she could not ignore her. She took over her work because she didn't want to be scolded by her. She stayed quiet even when she skipped her meals because she didn't want to be hit by her. Even if she disappeared in front of her, she would still be scared of her. When she got burned and was crying, she just knew that she would end up resenting her. She knew she would say it was her fault for inventing something weird. Even though she stole it without her permission, she would still get angry and pretend it wasn't her fault because that was exactly the kind of person her sister was. So, she kept getting blamed by the version of her that lived inside her head, even though she just wanted her to go away. The years she spent suffering under her, those 10+ years, wouldn't vanish so easily. But if she heals her burns, at the very least she wouldn't be able to blame her for that anymore. Whatever happened to her after that had nothing to do with her. She wanted to drive her sister out of her heart. She had spent her life being called useless, a waste of space. But if she could create a magical tool no one else could ever replicate, something she could truly be proud of, then she would prove that she wasn't useless. She didn't have to listen to what her sister said, and she might finally believe that. Lord Dior said there were 3 people with light burn scars he knew. Even though she wasn't as bad as her sister, one of them was quite high-ranking, and if she helped with the treatment, they would likely find her the best doctor available. They would have Lady Artemisia serve as the test subject. She thanked him and said it also helped with cleaning up after the incident, so it was a very good idea. He said he would advise the king and get everything prepared. In the next scene, Lord Dior and Liz went to see a doctor, and she was the most beautiful female doctor Liz had ever seen. He said he asked for the best doctor. The doctor responded that if it was about beauty, there was no better doctor than her. Liz asked if he knew her. He said she was quite the popular one lately. The doctor called Lord Dior cold and introduced herself as Lord Dior's sister, Nadine Azoth. Lord Dior immediately corrected her that she was his grandmother. Liz was shocked. He explained that their family had been researching immortality for generations, and all the women end up looking like this. Nadine said she wanted to run experiments on Dior's skin too, but he wouldn't let him. He used to let her do whatever she wanted when he was little. Liz introduced herself, and Nadine heard of her as the rumored fiancée. She said she saw her blueprint for silky skin and couldn't believe someone like her had that kind of talent. But if it really worked, it was quite fascinating. She held her hand and said she would help her. Liz would be honored. Nadine then suggested going to the hospital room where her sister was. Selkie's skin appeared only in the magical item encyclopedia of Liz's grandmother, the magical tool artisan Xena. To regenerate human skin using a magical item, the key was the wavelength of magical power, the magic crest. By copying the injured person's magic crest and weaving it into a magic weave, a magical cloth, it becomes artificial skin. The process seemed simple, but a magical artisan who possessed the power and skill to perfectly match another person's magic crest was aside from Liz. There was no such person in this country. Lord Dior asked Liz if she was okay. She responded that she was a little nervous because it had been a while since she had seen her sister face to face. He told her not to push herself too hard. She said she would be fine because she had decided to move forward. Besides, because Lord Dior was right next to her, she was happy. They knocked on Artemisia's door and Nadine asked how she was feeling. Artie turned to them, and she was shocked to see Liz there. Liz greeted her. Artie asked why she was here and assumed she came to laugh at her. Liz was going to explain to her, but she said she was not the least pitiful. She used her magic fleegan to pierce her. However, Liz didn't even have to lift a finger as Lord Dior didn't let her little monster get near Liz. Liz noticed that Artie had really weakened, but her magic crest didn't seem to have changed. Liz told Artie that she was going to heal her burn beautifully for her. Artie was shocked and called her a pathetic loser. She yelled at her that she was still more beautiful than her, even with those burns. 3 years ago at their shop, everyone was complimenting how well-mannered the young girl Artemisia was. Artemisia said it was an honor to receive such praise. And to top it off, with such beauty at this age, and she even helped out with the store's products. She was both talented and lovely to the people. They suggested enrolling her in the Magic Academy with her talent. The heir, Prince Albert, the first prince, would also be enrolling. Meanwhile, Liz was in the back room complimenting her sister. She said she was amazing. Important customers buy so much when she was the one helping them, and she could never stand at the counter like her. Artemisia asked if she was done with today's work. She said she had just a bit more work. Artemisia thought she was not like Liz, she was a special person. Liz showed her the pure magic stones she made, and she said that when she showed them to her grandmother, she praised her and said they could be sold right away. Because it's high purity, it would sell for a lot. If they sell a bunch of these, life would be such much easier and their grandmother could get better medicine. Liz threw away the magic stones and told her to finish her work if she had time to play around making junk like this. She knew that Liz was a genius at making magical tools. But what was necessary to be happy was charm and social skills. So even if she had talent, it was worthless if it stayed hidden. Artemisia made sure her talent was put to good use for her. Because she was born beautiful, she must be happier than an ugly fool like her. Her goal was to prove it with her own body. She wanted to sink her deep beneath her and wanted her to be glad to be the fuel for her happiness. And yet, Liz was smiling at a time like this. Liz finally realized that Artie was afraid of her. She understood that Artie stomped her down to cover up her own weakness and false bravado. She was a pitiful, cowardly, and pathetic sister. Artie assumed she was trembling, watching her get attacked by others. Liz told her not to be afraid because she wouldn't take revenge, because unlike her, she had become a stronger person. Liz told Lady Nadine that there was no issue with the magic crest, and she could test the prototype skin piece she gave her. Even with test transplants, there were no problems in the artificial skin Liz created. It was finally decided to move forward with the real procedure. Nadine tested the skin, and Artie finally regained her beautiful face. Liz asked if it was beautiful again, and she said it was just like before. She was so happy. Liz asked if she was satisfied with the skin. She made it, and Lady Nadine operated on. Artie thanked Liz twice, and Lady Nadine too. Liz said it was her first time thanking her. Artie wanted to work together as sisters from now on, but Liz immediately pushed her and said no. She told her that this was goodbye. She needed to atone for her sins from here on out. Artie was shocked. Lord Dior said this facility was run by the royal palace. Once the skin transplant trial succeeded, she was imprisoned. Artie was confused. She started yelling at them, saying Prince Albert forgave her and gave her this treatment, and there was no way she would go to prison. Lord Dior stated that she had deceived the royal family and endangered the prince, so there was no escape from prison. And this matter, Prince Albert himself had approved of it. She started repeating that they were lying. Liz stated that now that her treatment was completed, nothing was connecting them anymore. She said goodbye to Artie before she left the room. When they closed the door, Liz immediately returned to her old self and said she was so tired. She wanted to go back to the mansion. Lord Dior hugged her and said she did well. Liz felt relieved because as long as she had a home to return to, she wasn't afraid of anything anymore. After cutting ties with her sister, Liz felt like she was swaying gently, floating softly. When she opened her eyes, she was in Lord Dior's arms and he was carrying her. Liz was shocked, so he explained that she had fallen asleep in the carriage, so she carried her here himself. When he was putting her on the bed, Liz apologized because she must have been heavy. He said she wasn't at all. He asked if she should keep holding her like this to check on her condition, because he noticed that she had gotten a lot healthier compared to before. Liz said she was with just this. She said she had been eating well, sleeping 6 hours a night, and thanks to that, the development of the 54th Selkie skin was going smoothly. Lord Dior told her to sleep a little more, but she said that when she was making magic tools, she tended to get so absorbed. He didn't accept any excuse because her body was the foundation of her work. Lord Dior said he got her a gift, but at this rate it seemed like she didn't need it. Liz was curious to know what it was. He said he wouldn't give it to someone who couldn't manage their health. She promised to do it and she would work even harder. Lord Dior took out something sparkling. He said he won it at an auction. It was Liz's shop. He said it had been mortgaged and put up for sale, so he ended up going all in. She asked about her mother and father. He said they haven't been able to trace her parents' whereabouts. After the fire accident, some rumors about her sister spread through society, and it seemed they were driven to almost close down the shop. Liz was upset that they ruined her grandmother's shop. Lord Dior said her parents ran off to a faraway island, leaving the Debbie behind. Liz was shocked. He said that according to the bank records, just before they disappeared, they had at least taken enough money for a boat ride, so he thought they were safe. As for the debt, he had mostly cleared it himself. Liz apologized for everything. She said that her parents used to say they wanted to spend their final years on a cheap southern island living like nobles. He said that they would track down her shameless parents eventually and go collect from them. Liz stood up and said she would work and repay both the auction money and her parents' debt to him. Lord Dior immediately refused, saying it would harm her health. He told her not to worry about it. He had money, his family was wealthy, and he received a steady income just from being the Duke of Hospitalier. Plus, he got a ridiculous amount of war rewards. Liz had thought this before, but Lord Dior was way too generous with money. But as a commoner, she felt really guilty taking such a huge sum of money in advance. Lord Dior wanted to make a deal with her if it really bothered her this much. He told her to run the shop little by little without pushing herself, and once in a while treat him to a meal, and that was enough. Liz asked if he meant she could reopen the shop. Lord Dior said that was the reason he bought it. The shop holds painful memories too, but more than anything, it was the previous place where she made magic tools with her grandmother, and she got to have her own shop in that place. She thanked him with teary eyes and promised to save up and treat him to every restaurant in the capital. During the day, Liz went to play with Ferreris and asked him to try dropping the ball into that hole for her. He asked what this weird little device was. He claimed it was a trap to defeat him. Liz told him to watch carefully and put the ball inside. When she did, the ball flew automatically. Ferreris was thrilled. She said she called it the ball device, automatic catcher. Ferreris said he got it, and this meant he could play catch-all by himself. Liz made it, hoping Ferreris could play freely too. Now she had to start preparing for the shop's opening, so she might not be able to go on walks like before. The magic burn on her wrists had healed too, thanks to Lord Dior, and she had been freed from her family. This also meant that there was no need to keep up the fake engagement anymore. There were lots of people who liked Lord Dior, and of course he would want to marry someone he truly loved. She wasn't even pretty, and the only thing she was good at was making magic tools. If she stayed engaged to him, she would just get in his way. She decided that it might be time for her to step away. After that, some time passed, and under the condition that she would help treat burn victims for clinical trials, including her sister. The treatments for the burn victims from the showcase progressed smoothly, and she was set to meet the last patient. While on their way, Liz asked if that person was really that important. Lord Dior said it was the girl who snapped at her and started crying. Liz recalled her face. He said her name was Urraca, and she was apparently caught in the same accident that day. She was the daughter of the commander of the Central Knights. The Central Knight Order was known as the strongest in the country because of their overwhelming number of monster subjugations in the region. The commander was nicknamed the Vice King of their nation. In short, what that means is if he messes this up, he might literally lose his head. But he didn't seem scared at all. Liz wondered about his opinions on Lady Urraca. She cried, saying she loved him. If a beautiful girl like her had feelings for him, most people would be moved by that. Back then, she was his fiancée, so he acted uninterested. But with her looks and status, they would make a perfect pair. However, Lord Dior said she was a troublesome match. His duke title was granted by the king, which meant he was immediately aligned with the royalist faction the moment he received it. But for some reason, the knights and local nobles kept sending all kinds of girls to try to win him over. That's why he pretended to hate women. There were political reasons for sure, but he also had personal preferences. He said that Lady Urraca's pride was higher than a mountain and she was a pain to deal with. Liz asked if she was more than her sister, and he said that was a close match. Liz just hoped that she wasn't scared. In the future, Lord Dior's feelings might change too, and yet, the fact that she still wanted to spend every day with him was probably just her own selfish wish. After a while, they finally arrived at the Central Knight estate. For now, she had successfully avoided being fired by Lord Dior. Inside the place, Lady Urraca asked Liz if she was really going to take responsibility for this. Because of the scandal her sister caused, she had been damaged. Liz bowed to her and apologized deeply, but she started screaming at her that an apology was not going to fix this. Liz kept apologizing while Urraca glanced at Lord Dior. She took out her robe in front of them and told Liz to look at her scar. Liz was shocked. She told Liz that the scar was on her chest and asked what she was going to do if it left a mark. Lord Dior turned his back while Liz begged her to just cover herself. Lord Dior couldn't stand her and slammed the door. After he left, Lady Urraca started crying because he didn't show the slightest interest in her. He didn't even glance at her way. She asked if he didn't have any interest in women's bodies. Liz tried to explain that he said something about it, whether it was political or something like that, and told Lady Urraca that she was incredibly beautiful, and that she should be confident. Lady Urraca screamed again and told her to find out about her place. Liz felt this unfair blame before, thanks to that older sister of hers. Urraca suddenly changed her attitude and even apologized to her for taking it out on her. She said she didn't want to hate her. She couldn't handle her emotions properly, and she was really sorry. Liz realized that she was actually different from her sister. Lady Urraca was someone who could apologize to people. That was actually cute. Urraca heard about Liz too. They said she was the granddaughter of the former king's younger sister. In terms of bloodline, she was actually above her. If that becomes widely known, then she didn't stand a chance. Even so, she said she couldn't give up. Even though she was his fiancée, Urraca acted shamelessly and apologized to her. Liz told her that she was kind and considerate. She said that was the reason why she believed that she could still make things right. Urraca was amazed by her kindness and thanked her. She said such rude things that night, and yet Liz still came to heal her like this. It was no wonder Lord Dior was drawn to her. She said that if Lord Dior were ever to be captivated by her, she was going to demand he take responsibility for the burn scar, but now, she decided to give up on him. She said she was going to become so beautiful that he would regret it, and she would catch an even better man than him. She asked if she was going to make this scar disappear beautifully. Liz said, of course. After the treatment, Urraca was amazed because she healed so professionally that no one would ever guess this skin had been burned. Liz said she was just taking responsibility for what a family member did. The treatment itself was from Dr. Nadine. Even after seeing all the doctors in the country, they said the scar would remain, so Urraca was really grateful. She wanted to do something to thank her. She said she didn't need any thanks, but if it was right, she asked her to meet with her again. She said she was opening a magic tool shop. Since she was little, it had been her dream to become a magic tool artisan who made everyone smile just like her grandmother. She said she wanted to create cute accessories and clothes that would look good on Lady Uraka. Lady Uraka was sure her dream would come true because she was so skilled. She promised to come visit, and when she does, she is going to bring her wonderful boyfriend with her. Lord Dior could hear them behind the door and smiled a little. At night they returned, but Lord Dior stopped saying they were here. They weren't near the mansion, so Liz was confused. Lord Dior said there was a place he needed to stop by. She asked if it was part of his work because it was almost dinner time. He said it wasn't about work, but it was something important. He took her to the Azoth family's private land. The moonlight made the place bright and it looked amazing. Liz wondered why he brought her here. Lord Dior said everything had been settled now. Her parents, Artemisia and she, took responsibility for the victims of the accident. She did it all. He said that he wanted to acknowledge that in his own way. He put on a blanket for them to sit and look at the stars. The starry sky was so beautiful. Until she came to the mansion, she never had time to even look at the stars. This was the first time she had seen them this beautiful. Lord Dior said that when he was 11, he had a magic stone set at her shop and began learning magic. Then when he was 12, his talent was recognized, and he went to study abroad at the Northern Magic Academy. That's where he met Fariris. But the northern country was way too cold. He wanted to go home so badly he skipped grades and graduated early at 15 years old. That was the same age as her now. She asked what he did after that. He said he worked as a researcher at the Royal Academy. Technically, he was still working there, but there was way too much paperwork. Then war broke out. Even as a researcher, he was overwhelmed with work. At times like that, he came here. The clear, starry sky, which looked like magic stones scattered over black velvet, was his favorite thing to look at. Liz bet Fariris would run around here joyfully. He said he never brought him here. That guy had no sense of emotion. Liz thanked him for talking to her. She was really glad she got to know more about him and said she was going to become a great magic tool artisan too. In the middle of this romantic evening, Liz dropped a bomb on Lord Dior, suggesting calling off their engagement. Shocked, Albert asked why it came to this and if she was not thinking about something foolish again. She said that she had caused him trouble, but this time it was for a positive reason. She said she realized it when she successfully created Selkie skin herself. Just like he said from the beginning, she did have talent as a magic tool artisan, but that alone wasn't enough. She had to build a foundation for her own life and become independent. Otherwise, there was no way she could have had her own shop and made her dream come true. Lord Dior responded that she didn't have to call off the engagement just for that. The threat from her family was gone, but she still needed support. Liz stated that this wasn't the only reason. As she was now, she was too immature to be a good match for him. He was an amazing magician. They called him the Duke of Ice and Water, but she knew he was actually a kind person. When she collapsed at the party when the fire broke out, he always saved her. To her, he was her hero. Someone as wonderful as Lady Uraka was more suited for him. So even if this was a fake engagement, she wanted to become someone worthy of standing by his side. If someday she became someone who matched him in both appearance and character. And if he still needed a woman-repellent fiancée, she asked him to get engaged to her again. Lord Dior had to call her an idiot this time. She said that was the reason why she would become a fully independent lady. Lord Dior told her that there was no such thing as a perfect person. That's why they make up for each other's flaws and live supporting one another. That's what being a married couple was about. He said that she was definitely clumsy and not great at living independently. But how much she loved to eat. How she got so absorbed in magic tools that she didn't notice her surroundings. And how sometimes she pushes herself too hard. He actually found all of that endearing. And besides, he didn't dislike taking care of people. He wanted to support her too. He asked if she understood that he wanted to be with her. He asked her to stay by his side. She said she didn't know how to dance or act with proper manners, and that was fine with him. She said she eats a lot and might strain the food budget. He said he had got more money than he knew what to do with. She said she might break his rules and stay up all night making magic tools, and he responded that he would scold her for that. And when she said she wasn't even pretty, he responded that her self-esteem was way too low because she was cuter than any noble girl out there. Lord Dior then asked if there were any more excuses. Liz realized that she also wanted to be with Lord Dior. She wanted to stay as his fiancée. Before she realized this, Lord Dior became irreplaceable to her. In the next scene, there was only 1 week until the opening of Riviere Magical Tool Shop, and Pierre and Kurumi went to help Liz clean the shop. Liz thanked them for their help, and Kurumi said it was no trouble. More importantly, she said they really were a perfect match. Liz was puzzled, so she asked if the necklace shining on the master's chest was a gift from Lady Liz, and besides, there was a golden bangle on Liz's wrist. After that conversation with Lord Dior under the night sky, Lord Dior had a request regarding their engagement. He wanted her to make a necklace for him to wear. Confused, Liz said he could buy one anywhere. He asked if she wouldn't give him Riviere. In return, he wanted to give her this bangle. It was a prestigious item passed down through his family, and she could just adjust the size herself. Lord Dior's name had the meaning of golden, and Riviere meant a string of jewels. To exchange jewels was effective to declare each other as lovers. In other words, it was what they might call a lover's game. Liz tried to explain that this was merely a charm to ward off other women for Lord Dior, but they did not believe her. Lord Dior said he had an errand to run, but he was counting on him for the rest. When he left, Liz said she had something to tell Pierre and Kurumi. She said that she intended to call off her engagement with Lord Dior until very recently. Because she was so immature, she felt she couldn't stand by his side. And she always thought that she was causing trouble for everyone. But that was a selfish thought, it seemed. Everyone reached out to help her, and she realized it wasn't a bother or a nuisance at all. But everyone was kind and warm. And most of all, she wanted to be with Lord Dior and everyone in the mansion. Lord Dior told her about the past. Even he, such an amazing sorcerer, had a time when he normally went to school and studied and worked so hard. She wanted to learn many things like him and become a splendid magical tool artisan. To that end, she intends to pour her efforts into the magical tool shop, which has been her dream. She also wanted to become someone worthy of being Lord Dior's fiancée. Therefore, she had a request for both of them. She asked them to teach her how to behave like a noble lady at the mansion. Kurumi was so touched and couldn't stop crying. She promised to help her become a wonderful, noble lady. Pierre said they realized she was troubled about something, and she resolved it with Lord Dior, and this was wonderful. It showed how special she was, and actually he revealed that Lord Dior rarely talked about himself. He was a difficult person, and only Liz could manage him. He asked her to continue to bear with their eccentric master. Kurumi agreed with Pierre because the only person Lord Dior smiles at so gently is her. That night, she also felt Lord Dior was a special presence. She was so happy when he said he wanted to be with her. Her heart raced, thinking how much she wanted to be with him too. This feeling was different from the warm, fuzzy feeling she got from Kurumi and Pierre. She wondered what that feeling was, but couldn't find an answer. In the next scene, Liz went to see Lord Dior with Ferreiris. She wondered what this was about. She said it was dancing practice. Kurumi said Liz had recently been learning how to act as a noble lady, and since she practiced dancing today, she wanted Lord Dior to be her partner. Lord Dior reminded her that she didn't have to force herself to change just because they were engaged, but she said she was not forcing herself. She then asked Lord Dior for a dance. Lord Dior stared at her hand and couldn't help but smile because it was supposed to be the other way around. While dancing, Liz panicked and stepped on his foot, but he said that was fine. He was leading her so professionally that it didn't look like Liz was an amateur. After they finished the dance, Lord Dior winked at her. Ferreiris started cheering for them in the middle and said he was quite good. Lord Dior held Liz and asked how it was. He wondered if she thought she could become a fine noble lady. Liz smiled at him and said yes. In the next scene, by building up what Liz could do one step at a time, Riviere Magical Tools had finally opened. Lord Dior gifted so many flowers that the place was full of them. He said he would have brought more if there weren't enough. She thanked him and said she had already received so many flowers. That was true, but it had been several hours since opening, yet there didn't seem to be any customers. She said that she overheard something while she was tidying up outside with Kurumi. The people were talking about how her magical tool shop's reputation used to be so good, but they defaulted on their debts and ran off. They weren't sure about relying on a shop like that. What they were saying was largely true, so it couldn't be helped. It seemed the rumors were circulating. He asked if she had the old customer list and suggested informing the regular customers about the reopening. She said they would start bit by bit from situations like that. A customer came and said he heard they went out of business, but they were still operating. Liz welcomed him, but she was so panicked that she didn't know what to say. Lord Dior was pretty embarrassed on behalf of Liz. The man showed her a watch and said he had asked them to repair this watch last month, but it wasn't fixed at all. Liz apologized and asked if she could see it. The magic stone had become a poor quality one, so she thought her father might replace it. After she left, she couldn't arrange pure magic stones. She said she could fix it for him and asked for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, she thanked him for waiting and explained to him that the impurities in the magic stone gradually disrupted the flow of magic, causing the watch's rhythm to go awry. She had replaced the magic stone and the worn-out gear and also adjusted the watch's error to less than 5 seconds per day. The man looked at the watch and he seemed satisfied. He said this was made for him by the previous owner of this hop. The quality remained unchanged no matter when he brought it in for repair after the succession. He thought it was the master who was doing the repairs, but he was sure it was her. She said she had always worked behind the scenes. The man said it was no wonder that her customer service was absolutely terrible. She apologized and realized that she had never learned anything about customer service before. He told her not to fluster, straighten up, and snap to it. He then apologized for yelling earlier and thanked her. The man said he would be back, and this made her so happy. All this time, Liz was so absorbed in her daily work, holed up in the atelier, that she had finally met a customer who needed her magical tools. Lord Dior told her that she was going to become an artificer who was thanked hundreds, thousands of times from now on. After that, Liz decided to invite Kurumi to buy parchment for letters. Meanwhile, a princess was begging the maid to let her visit Riviere Magical Tools. The maid told her that if she wished to place an order, she should use her usual pseudonym and send a letter. That princess was Marguerite Camellia, and she was the first princess. She had always been a fan of their Artemisia dresses, and to think that they were actually the work of the ghost artist Liz, she wanted to meet her. The maid asked if she was sure. Even her previous orders were quite special. By custom, the princess's garments could only be tailored by shops of prestige and tradition. If it became known that the princess of this country frequented a town's magical tool shop, it would be a risk to her safety and the possibility of involving others. Princess Camellia gave up and said she understood and appreciated that. She said she had always made accommodation for her. She apologized for her selfishness and promised to give up this time. Princess Camellia was really bored with being a princess, but she was sure she was going to visit there someday. She had to find someone's cooperation for that. At night, Liz was eating desserts with Lord Dior when Kurumi came and informed her that a letter had arrived for Artificer Liz. She was so excited and said it was from Lady Margarita. She was one of their regular clients, and she sent her a letter about reopening. She started reading, and apparently Lady Margarita wanted to play an order. Liz was so happy and continued to read the letter. Lady Margarita said she wished to hold in her hands those beautiful dresses, treasures of this world, gifts from the heavens, but her family was a little strict and only allowed her to wear very long hems. This time she asked for the most formal court dress. Her letter was so stiff she must be a truly high-ranking noble, she thought. This was truly so heavy she couldn't help but wish it could be lighter with the power of magical tools. The shop she consulted before told her it was impossible, but she wondered if she might be able to work a miracle. And whenever she was free, she would appreciate it if she could share her thoughts. With long-hemmed dresses, they trip and fall if they walk, so she didn't know how they managed those dresses. Lord Dior said even though his family was matriarchal, he had never worn a dress. But he heard from his grandmother. She apparently kicked it. She said that to elegantly manage the hem, she quickly kicked it under the dress. Liz realized that nobles had it tough. The next day, Liz was still working on the dress. She could add a magic formula to lighten the hem, but if she wasn't careful, it might oddly get swept up or lifted. Considering a 1 in a million accident, she couldn't move forward. If the magic formula malfunctioned during a dance and her legs were completely exposed, it would be bad. Kurumi was shocked that Liz was having difficulty making something. She brought her chocolate-flavored drink and it was called chocolate chaud. She suggested trying it with the cookies she brought. While eating the cookies, Liz said she cannot fail in this dress, so she must research and think a bit more. But she was too distracted by the cookie because it was too delicious. She asked if she had made these. Kurumi said she bought them at a nearby patisserie. She was glad they suited her taste. Liz didn't know that there was such a pastry shop nearby because she used to work non-stop. She decided to go there next time. Meanwhile, a woman was watching Liz from a distance. There was a little more time until Liz's new encounter. In the next scene, Liz was showing the customer a mop that moves on its own. She explained that she could set it to move at a specific time so it could finish mopping while she was away. An expensive magic stone would work just fine, but a pure one would last longer. The customer found it very convenient. She was often away from home for work, so cleaning had been a problem. This product was perfect for people like her. She decided to take one. Since they had notified their regular customers that they had opened, the number of customers had started to return little by little, and the new magical tools she had made were getting great reviews. Kurumi was amazed by how brilliant Liz was. She had made the floors and shelves sparkling clean with her magical tools. Kurumi had served a renowned alchemist family for a long time, but she had never seen anything like this. Liz said she was very good at chores. Kurumi commented that she truly had a talent for creating new things. She then said she had been curious about something for a little while now. She asked what that moving tub was. Liz explained that it was a complete set of tools for fully automatic washing. If you just toss your laundry into any old tub, it washes it for you automatically. It cannot compare to washing each piece by hand, but unless it was lace or silk, it was good enough. Kurumi was sure she was witnessing a goddess of housework with her own hands now. To some, this item was more valuable than jewels. For the good of the world and its people, this should be widely distributed. Liz agreed, saying she wanted everyone to be able to use magical tools made for daily work, magical tools for housework, and comfortable clothes that didn't need corsets or heels. The more convenient things become available, the more people would be helped. People were too busy with work, like she used to be, or people suffering from illness. Liz wanted to invent lots of tools that would make everyone happy to use them. She promised herself to make all sorts of other magical tools. In the next scene, Lord Dior informed Liz that they were going to start by applying for a patent at the Magical Toolmakers Association for the magical tools she had made. Liz was frozen, because she didn't even know what a patent was. She knew that it was something like telling everyone that she was the inventor. Invention management was handled separately by each craftsman's guild, but magical toolmakers could make anything, so there were too many places to apply. So they were taking this opportunity to consolidate everything under the state-run Magical Toolmakers Association. That was the gist of it. Liz didn't even know there was a Magical Toolmakers Association. She had the face of someone who didn't understand a thing. Liz said her parents took care of that kind of thing, so she didn't know anything. Lord Dior said he would explain it to her. He told her that inventions, trademarks, and designs were all personal property. He told her that this was really important. Without a patent, the self-moving mop and the washing tools she made, and any new magical tools she makes from now on, could be copied by anyone, and they could make a fortune. Liz said she thought it was common for similar products to come out. Lord Dior explained to her that if she applied for the patent as the rights holder, when someone else copies it and sells it, a certain percentage of their profit would go to her. Liz asked if she could get a percentage for the magical tools she had invented up until now, and Lord Dior confirmed her. She freaked out because her shop could have made a ton of money. She felt tricked. Now that he believed Liz understood the importance of patents, he told her to go apply right now. Liz said okay, but she had to reveal that she was bad at office work. Lord said he would help too, but she didn't want to ask for his help. He said if he left it to her, she would never finish it in her lifetime. He told her to register what she could and they would hire someone for the rest. He would if he could, but he was stuck secretly investigating some illicit activities involving magic. Liz said she agrees with finding a helper. Right now, Kurumi was helping her with the shop, but she had her work at the mansion too, and Pierre came by to help occasionally. Lord Dior said they would put out a job listing immediately. He wanted Liz to learn how to manage people because she was going to rise to become a legendary class magical toolmaker. Considering she would be working closely with this person for a long time, a woman she got along with would be best. A man was out of the question, however. He told her to just start looking. Otherwise, she would be swamped with paperwork, and it would affect her toolmaking. And so, she ended up recruiting for help between her work. She hoped she could find someone nice. She decided that it was time for a break and started making some fragrant tea that Kurumi brought her. And she wanted to have some cookies, but when she opened the cookie box, it was empty. She left the shop empty to come and buy cookies. It was the failure of these super delicious cookies, though. However, the shop was closed for a while, so she was very upset. While she was leaning on the door, a woman asked if she was all right. Liz turned to see who she was, and she was captivated by her beauty. She said she was fine and was shocked that the shop was closed. She added that she used to buy cookies here every day to show how important it was for her. The woman said she had done her a disservice. She suggested going shopping together and said she knew a place with delicious baked sweets. Hearing the baked sweets, Liz's mouth watered, but she said she had to watch the shop. It was a shame, but she would come back when the shop opened. She thanked the woman for talking to her and ran to her shop. Inside the shop, she wondered where that shop with delicious baked sweets was. She thought about letting her take her, but the shop would be empty, so she had no choice but to stay there. The doorbell rang, and it was the lady from before. The lady said she was glad she found her and gave her a box. Liz opened the box and saw the delicious cookies, financiers, and canneels. She asked if she was sure she could have them. The woman said yes. She thanked her and asked how she found her. The lady remembered her saying she came every day, so she asked the person at the shop next door, and they said a girl always comes from the back street. Besides, she had a feeling from her demeanor that she lived nearby, so she narrowed her search to the shops within walking distance. She was wearing very high-quality clothes, and yet she wasn't wearing gloves. Her cute outfit was also a clue. She did manual labor, so silk gloves would get in the way. Parts of the skin on her hands were calloused, so she was a craftswoman. Based on that assumption, she asked around at the nearby shops and she found her. Liz from the Riviere Magical Tool Shop. Liz was amazed by her mind. The woman then said she was the daughter of the House of Baron Agner. Her name was Louise. Liz stated that she was happy to have become acquainted with a noble lady like her. Arnis stated that being a noble was nothing to be happy about, but working for everyone's sake like she did was far more beautiful. Liz was surprised by her response and asked if she would like to stay for some tea.